Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Casey Christensen. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in West Kelowna, BC. It's lovely here today, not quite as brilliantly sunny as it has been the past few days, but still, it's nice outside. So I spent most of the day today in my sewing room, but I thought I would pop on again today. We're going to play with this Give It a Whirl stamp set. I'm kind of obsessed with this because I never realized just how much was in this die set. Originally it was a bundle. I don't know if you can still order it out of the old catalog. There was a stamp set that went with this that was spacemen and things like that. But today I'm going to use it with the hand Penned Petals. This was in the last catalog and it has been carried forward into the next catalog, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's one that I like very much. It is a Stampin' die set, so we're going to play with that in conjunction with our Give It a Whirl. Oh, things are falling down. The chaos begins. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the Give It a Whirl die set, it's a really interesting die set. There's lots of stuff in here. I made this for it just so that I can glance at it in my binder and remember that it's got really neat things in and around the components for the Give It a Whirl card. Hi Dorothy, nice to see you today. In and around the components for making this Give It a Whirl card, there's also all kinds of fun things here that I sort of had forgotten that I had die cuts for. So there's a label, there's different shapes here which are meant to do the windows of the Give It a Whirl card. However, they also are good for all kinds of other things as well. So today we're going to play with it again. I've done a little pre-cutting just so that I'm not boring you with my cutting. Also, I had mentioned before, it's a really good idea to cut yourself one of these because then you can go through your catalog and use these windows to go through your catalog or your stamp sets. Use these windows to go through and see what will fit in the various shapes that we're playing with here, okay? So today I thought we would play with the circle because the circle has this beautiful little frame that goes around it. I've pre-cut my first piece for the card and I've got my circle piece here. I haven't cut this yet. And to do this circle piece, you're just going to line up. There's a little hole on this circle, which you're simply going to line up with the little hole that's on the card, and you're going to put it wherever you want it. You can have it straight up and down, you can have it sideways, you can have it below, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to line it up on a bit of an angle here so that I will have room to put my frame around it that I'm going to create, okay? So let me just stick that down, and I'm going to have to do this on the bigger cutter, or the bigger machine, because it doesn't quite fit through on the smaller machine. So I'll just be 1 second here and get this ready. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So I've got my little... Save these little bits, by the way. Always save these little bits. It's amazing to me how often a nice little die cut circle will come in handy, and I'll show you in a minute. After I cut this piece, which I'm going to cut right now, I'll show you what you have left over that you might be able to use for maybe for this card, maybe for other cards. But all these little leftover cutouts are pretty handy for different things. So save them all. Mine are all in the Dexter dish. Hi Kimmy. Mine are all in the Dexter dish. So what I'm using here is I'm going to use this little frame. For some reason this really is stuck into this board. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to use this little frame in my card, but you see what I have? My two leftover bits here are actually of a size to make a circle with a small frame around it. And you know, if you used a dark enough die, you could stamp hello on there. You could add a three-dimensional flower to it. All kinds of things. So don't cut these, don't throw these things out. They're just a great thing to have. And you'd be surprised how often they're going to come in handy. So now I have my little circle here on my component, And this little frame, see how cute this little frame is? That little frame is going to go around that after I do my stamping and figuring out of what I'm going to have there. And I've also, so this piece is the frame size. My card base, I've done your standard 5.5 by 8.5, and then scored at 4 1/4. So that's just your typical card base. The next layer for me is going to be this Evening Evergreen because it's one of my favorite colors, and it goes really well with this Ever Eden DSP. So I've cut this, my standard, this is how I do it. You people that know me, you know I do this. I cut it my standard 4 1/4 by 5.5, and then I took one trimmer notch off of each side. So it's consistent, and I have just the right amount showing on the other side there. So you can see it's kind of going to go together a little bit like that. So let's get our other bits ready. So this is my extra piece behind my spinner wheel, and I'll show you that. You can just use any circle die that you want to. I suppose you could use the piece that was cut out of here. It doesn't have to be big. I just happen to have a punch that I punched it out with. So we'll set that aside because we're going to be using that. This I can put right back where it belongs before I lose it permanently. And again, best when you get these die sets to draw around them so that you know how things go back together. Otherwise, it can be a bit of a challenge putting them back onto your cardboard here. Although I also use magnetic sheets, and it's a little easier there. But so there's my bits. Put back. Next, I'm going to work on my my design wheel, and it's going to have a saying and 2 flowers on it. So let me just run this through. I'm just going to run this little bit through here. Okay, there it is. Now before I take it off of here, I want to take my lightest of pencils, and I just want to draw around these little frame bits very, very lightly. I'm not pressing at all, okay? No pressing. So there I have my wheel. I'm going to punch out my center bit there. So now I have my wheel, and it's all drawn out with the things that I need, the sections that I need to work on my stamping. And so again, we're using the circle one this time. So what I decided to do is I decided to use a Post-it note, just a nice Post-it note. This is the kind of Post-it note. Now, when the new catalog comes out, there's going to be a specific paper from Stampin' Up! For doing this. It's called masking paper, and it's in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. I happen to be using Post-it notes, and this is a special kind of Post-it notes that's sticky all over the back, not just on one edge. So I'm going to put my Post-it note here so that I can not get any ink where I don't want to get it. Okay, so that's my first one. And I'm actually going to, I think, cover up a little more. And these are reusable, so it doesn't really matter how many you use, because I know what I want to stamp, but I don't want to get any black ink where it doesn't belong. So there's my circle. But I'm going to see how I can see my little drawn lines? There's a V down here. I've got my circle up to the top of my fan shape, for lack of a better thing. And then I'm going to mask the 2 V's on here. So that's how I know that that's going to be my viewing space. And because my stamp is big, my actual stamp that I'm going to use here is pretty big. So I'm going to use this one here, okay? The nice thing about hand pen stamps is that they're of the nature that you stamp down the outline, and then you have these filler stamps, so you're not having to color, you're actually planting color on it, okay? So that's what we're going to do. So what I'm aiming for is this flower right here. That's what I'm going to do first. Now, let's try and stop knocking things down, shall we? How about if I put those down? It's my ink pads. How about if I put them down so I can't knock them down any further? That would be clever. Okay, now unfortunately my stamp set is a bit of a mess. I learned some new things about different kinds of stamps and what comes off and what does not come off, and so my stamps are a bit of a mess, but you know, they still work. They still work. So this stamp doesn't quite fit on my block here. I'm okay with that. I don't need the whole thing to fit on. I'm just kind of aiming for, you know, for that. Just a little bit of a flower there. I've got my flower set where I want it. So I'm only going to ink up the flower portion. I'm going to use my memento, because I'm then going to stamp some color on top. And so let's just do that. Let's just give this top portion a little memento. And I'm just going to kind of plant that there. No rhyme or reason exactly where it is. It's just within the circle, okay? So if I think I've got, let's see what I've got here. Okay, so I like that. I've got a little bit of stem showing, which is cool because I can color the stem. And I've got a nice show of the flowers, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flower stamp, my color stamp, and I'm going to ink that up with Gorgeous Grape, one of my all-time favorite colors. And I'm just going to, I have to get my head over it, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to line up the stamp and stamp that out over top. So I've got my Gorgeous Grape color. There it is. Okay. Now I'm going to use my leaf stamp to do this stem business. Okay, I've got a little bit of stem here, and that's okay. But I'm going to use my leaf stamp to do it rather than color it, because once you've stamped color on, if I start putting more color on using using markers, it's going to look a little odd. So I'm just going to use my leaf. There's a little leaf stamp that comes with this set. There's actually two, but one of mine is missing. Big surprise. Let's stamp this out and see how it looks. I'm thinking, do I want that or do I want it? I think I want it darker, so I'm going to change that. Instead of Soft Succulent, which I had out, I'm going to use my Evening Evergreen. Do I wiggle? I don't know. I don't know that I wiggle on purpose. I think maybe I wiggle. Who knows, right? Who knows? So let's give this a little bit more color, and I'm just going to do this. There we go. So then when I take this off, I just have a cute little flower there, okay? So that's my first of my flowers. Then I can take this piece. Now let's just make sure my memento is dry, which I can tell right now it's not. In fact, I'm so worried about it. I'm going to give it a little blow dry, because I am so tired of marking up my cards by touching my memento before it's dry. Okay, sorry about that, but I think it's dry now. So I can just take my stencil piece that I made here, my mask piece that I made here, and I can just move it over to the next one if I'm careful. Okay. There we are. And so for this one, I'm going to use the sentiment. It's just a small sentiment. And I think what I'd like to do is a very, very light and very, very light. I'm just experimenting here. I think if I put that sentiment down on the white, it's going to feel like a whole lot of white with a little saying on it. So I want to create something in the background that will look nice, but not much. Nothing strong, okay? So I'm just using this little stamp here. I'm going to use this little stamp here and just create a little viney thing. It's supposed to have flower petals, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I want it to be a little less than that. So let's just see what it looks like, right? What have we got to lose? So that's going to be in Gorgeous Great. So let's try it. And we're going to do a second generation stamping because I think a first generation is going to be too much. Yeah, a little second generation stamping. Let's see, maybe even a third. Yeah, I think a third. Okay, so we're going to do a third generation stamping with this. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then over top of that, just because I want it to have a little background color, over top of that, I'll then take my Evening Evergreen and my sentiment, which is Feel Better Friend. Feel Better Friend. It's just a small sentiment, but I think it would have looked a little bit naked in behind. So I'm going to stamp it right here on top of my sample stamp, just to see what it will look like, right? You want to be sure that you like it. So let's just give that some Evening Evergreen. And we'll drop that down on top of that. Yeah, see, I like that. This one's a little darker, so it'll be lighter on there, but to put the sentiment on top of that looks a little nicer than if I just laid it down all by itself on that white paper. Okay, so let's give this another inking. And we're just going to drop that down there. There, so it says Feel Better Friend. It's really quite clear. You can see it quite well. It just has a little hint of color in behind it. Okay, so that's my number 2. And then my number 3 will have a different flower. Now, what did I do with those? We've got a different color, a different flower for that one. So, now I'm kind of worried about this one. It's a big stamp, right? So I'm kind of worried about it. So I'm going to try this, okay? I'm going to try this. It's big. So, well, we're just going to try it and see how it looks. Now, I believe I don't even have a stamp. I'm going to have to Stamparatus this one because I don't have any stamp block for that to go on neatly. So I'm going to stick it down because this is a Stickum Post-it note, right? So I can stick that down and then stick it down, and then I can choose my flower carefully. That one might feel too big. I just don't know. This one might, it won't work there anyways. This one might feel a little bit big. Yeah, it feels a bit big. So let's try for a different situation on that flower. what the heck? Let's do that. It'll be like it. Well, wait a minute. Let me have a better look at this. So we've got these larger flowers down here and a couple of little ones. How about that? Let's do that. The larger flower there and a couple of little ones. And we can just work those out. See how they do, right? It's all trial and error. We'll just see what happens. So now we need some memento. And we don't need to ink the whole thing. We're just going to ink these flowers over here. And I've got my paper down. Remember to use your Stamparatus paper so that you're not making a mess of your Stamparatus pads. So I've got my little paper down there. And let's see what this is going to look like. It did not work out at all. Okay, so it's a good thing I lined it up. I did line it up. I'm going to line it up here. I'm going to do a better job of inking, I guess. Although I thought I did a pretty good job. Okay. Oh dear, look at that. It's a mess. Okay, well these things happen, right? I'm going to have to whip up another one of those. It's not worked out at all, and I'm not entirely sure why. But I'm going to have to cut another one of the one of these. So let's get another piece of. That's unfortunate. Life is like that, though, isn't it? All right, so I've got another one. That's a bummer. I'll just pop that in there. So that I can give it a light drawing around. Okay. We might have to stick to what we know and go with the same flower but maybe two different colors because we know that one fits, right? So let's get this because we can still use it. Only let's be very careful because it's got black on it. Oh boy, does it ever. It's a mess. It's a mess. Okay, so let's do this again. Let's start with this guy, with the little, and we'll do it in the lighter of the purples. So we're going to do it in Fresh Freesia this time. And that's this little leaf situation that I'm going to put down, second generation. Oh, look what I just did. Okay, don't look because I'm embarrassed. My entire right arm is covered in memento ink. Okay, so that's how we roll. All right. So now we're going to take our little sentiment and we've got Feel Better Friend. Oh dear, that's really bad. Okay, my whole arm is mementoed. Mementoed. I've been mementoed. Oh. All right. there's one. Let's see if we can do this again, but better this time. Okay, so there's my piece down there. So I'm going to use you know, I don't even like these. I'm concerned about them. Okay, we can use this one again, Memento, without wearing it. Let's see if we can manage that. Well, I'm usually pretty good at putting the covers on my inks, but not always. And it just so happened I put my entire arm, like rested it right on there as if it belonged. So there's my flower. That works. Just want to make sure it was going to work there. And now I'm going to use the Highland Heather because I feel like the other one was a bit dark. So let's use the Highland Heather and my flower, wherever that went to. Oh, where did that go to? It seems to be gone. Well, that's not good. Huh, there it is. I knew it had to be here somewhere. How far away could it get, right? All right, so let's give this some Highland Heather. Oh no, Freesia, fresh Freesia, fresh Freesia. Give it a little color. I'm really worried about the black on here, but let's see what we can do. The last one we're going to do this one again because we know it and we know that it's small enough to fit in. So we're going to do this one, but we're going to do it differently. So we're going to use that little viney bit here, but we're going to do it in Evening Evergreen. And we're going to put some flowers on it. So there's my Evening Evergreen. I'll take that off. Now we're going to find this set of flowers. And we're going to do the fresh Freesia. And this set of flowers is meant to go on this little bunch of leaves. So it's nice that we have a nice shape in there, okay? So let me just give my hands a little bit of a clean. I'm gonna get a wipe here and clean my hands because they really are a mess. Not to mention my arms, so I'll have to get back in and have another shower today. And not only that, the stuff on my arm is Memento. So chances of it coming off are, you know, slim to none. So, guess I won't be going anywhere in a short sleeve shirt for a while. Because I look like I've been tattooed. Badly. Badly tattooed. Alright, so my hands are cleanish. Let's take this off. So I have my little wheel, okay? I'm okay with that. It looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but then, you know, neither am I. Oh yes, I have a chamois. It's just that this is a little more than I want to put on my chamois. I have way too much. That's another thing I want to put on my list. I want a new chamois. Mine's looking very sad indeed. So let's put these aside because we are going to use them again, but not for the moment, okay? Oh, and then I'm also going to cut out, let's get all those back on there, even though they're not in the right place. At least they're there, so I can't lose them again. Okay, so I've lost you. Hang on a moment, please. Can you see me? Okay, am I back? Was I gone? Or was it just me? It was just me. I think I moved my mouse and I think I lost myself, but then I couldn't find myself again. Okay, so I'm still here. Yay! Yay, I'm still here. Good to know, good to know. So let's get all my bits at least relatively near where they belong so I don't have to hunt them down later. I'm going to take a couple of these. This is a die that comes with the stamp set, and it's really cute, and I'm going to cut out a couple of these. And they're just the grape, gorgeous grape, and they're just pretty little flowers. So just bear with me, I'm cutting out a couple of them. There we are. Come on, come on. Okay, so you see I've got a couple of these really interesting looking flowers here. There's one. It's kind of a nice die. There's two. So let's assemble our card. Let's get that out of the way before I make an even bigger mess. We're going to assemble our card here. So the first thing I want to do is go in with my really good eraser. I've got a nice Statler eraser here, and I want to remove my lead lines, okay? Just remove them. This is why we're putting the lead lines on really lightly, because then they're so much easier to remove. So I signed up for a full day card retreat here. Like I say, I'm new to West Kelowna. I don't know anyone here. But I did find a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, so I thought, oh, what the heck. Not that I really need to meet people. I'm a bit of a loner, as it were. I'm not really out to meet tons of people and make new friends. I've spent my entire life being extremely social, and I'm kind of enjoying being the opposite of that these days. But it is nice to get to know different people, meet new people, and see what other people are doing. So let's start by putting, I'm wondering if this card base should have been one of the I'm going to go with this. I'm just wondering if it would have been nice in one of the lavender colors. But I'm going to go with this for now because I've got that color in everywhere. So let's just put this down. My in-laws are from Nanaimo, but they've moved here. They were in Nanoose Bay, but they moved up here. They haven't been very well, and so they need to be closer to family. And Nanoose Bay was a little too far away for anyone to be able to be looking after them, So now I need to get a brad, and we sell these at Stampin' Up. They're different types of brads. These are metallic brads, and they come in copper, gold, silver, all different sizes, but my paper has a little gold in it, so I'm going with the gold. And so all I need to do is put my brad in through this hole that's been stamped out with our die cut. Got my brad in there, got my wheel, and this secondary circle, okay, it's important as I understand it. It's important to have that for the wheel to function properly. I'm just going to use my brad tool here and straighten out that brad. There we have it. So now you can see I've got my flowers, I've got my Feel Better Friend, and I've got my next set of flowers, okay? So to put this down on our card, we want to use dimensionals. We're going to use the big ones. Also in the catalog, there's long strips. There are dimensionals that are long, very narrow strips. You could, of course, do that. You could use strips if you wanted to. I don't have them, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to use my regular dimensionals here. And we want all four corners, but we want more on this lower portion here to give it a nice firm attachment. Okay. Now we're just going to take our little beauty and place it on our card front. Now I learned something funny today. There's a die in here that I could not figure out for the life of me what it was. I'm not saying this is the be-all and end-all, but there's this die here, and it cuts 3 different size circles. Now, rumor has it that if you did not want your brad to show, you could cut these out. It's the 3 sizes that our brads come in, and you could stick a piece of DSP over top of this brad so that my brad would then essentially be invisible, I suppose. That's the theory. That's the theory. I'm going to go with that since I can't come up with a better one. So I'm going to decide that, yeah, that's how it works. There we are. All right, so that works really, really well. So now what I want to do is I want to take my little decorative circle here, and I think I'm going to use glue. I did kind of want to pop it up, but that would be a bit of a nightmare in terms of cutting dimensionals in quarters and whatnot to be able to do that. So I'm just going to use some glue here all the way around that. And then I can place that down. There is a tiny ring of it showing, and that's okay too. A little tiny ring inside of the DSP. It's slightly larger than this hole here. Now, what I'm supposed to do with my brad at this point, I don't know, but I'm okay with it. I like it. I think it looks pretty nice with that little frame around it, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take some cardstock. What have I got? What have I got? What have I got? I know I have to have some sitting in here, but I could be wrong. No, I maybe don't have a good size piece. Okay, 1 second. 1 second, bear with me. Let me find something. Okay, I found something. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to get out my memento, as scary as that is for me right now. And I'm going to get out this beautiful stamp here. Oh, and I just got I don't believe myself sometimes. I just don't. Okay, so here it is. Again, I'm going to have to, I feel like I'm missing, a stamp, block. I feel like I'm missing a block. I must be, because I don't have anything that fits that particular stamp, but I feel like, oh, here it is. I know where it is. It's the one that's holding my computer up. There we go. Found the block. Where's the die? Oh, where's the stamp? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So let's give this some memento. And we're going to stamp that out, and I'm going to stand up to stamp it so that it's nice and crisp. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I do like that. Let's put the lid on the memento before I wear it somewhere else. And now we're going to take our component stamps and we're going to color this up. So the first one I'm going to need is this one. And I'm going to use the Fresh Freesia. Let's get that on there. Let's sort out which way it goes now. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to ink this up with the memento. That's what I like about this hand penned, is you don't have to color. It's just going to color itself just by using these great stamps, right? So now I'm going to use a smaller one. I'm going to do this one up here. Let's figure out which way it goes. That works for me. There we go. I wish I could do this without my head in the way, but I'm just not that good. Okay? I'm just not. So, then I can use I think I'm going to use this Daffodil Delight with this tiny stamp and add a little bit of yellow to my card, just a bit. It's a two-part stamp and it does 2 flowers at one time. There we go. Do you see my yellow flowers there? Pretty, right? And another set here. Nice. Now, there's a tiny flower here, and that probably should be back to the purple, or to the, oh, no, don't drop things, don't drop things, don't drop things. And I did. I dropped my leaf, and I'm going to be hooped without it. So, that was clever. So let's do this. Okay, so in as much as I'd like to stamp my leaves, I can't, because one leaf I lost a while ago, and the other one I just lost this very minute. Oh, wait, here it is, here it is. Okay, I can add a little green. Unfortunately, I'm so upset about losing that larger leaf that I'm very tempted to buy the stamp set again, just so I can have the leaf, because I really, really, really like. Yeah, that's the thing about it, Kim. It's not exactish, so it's exactish. I'm pretty sure that's a word. Yeah, that's the thing about it, is it's not quite perfect, and it doesn't need to be. So I think I should go with the soft succulent here, just because it's a softer situation. If I don't like it, I can always go over it. So now I'm using the tiny leaf. Yeah, see, isn't that pretty? So now I may have to get super, super, super duper creative for those larger leaves. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love that. I love that all the coloring is that simple for you to do. This will take care of all the small leaves, and the big leaf, well, I'll have a problem. I don't know what I'll do about that. I don't know. What can I do? What can I do? I suppose I could color it, but then it will look too purposeful. Soft succulent. Where is my soft succulent? Soft succulent. I know you're there somewhere. Here we are. Maybe I can use the lightest one. I don't know. I'm gonna, because I really don't have a choice. Like I said, I'm tempted to rebuy this stamp set just so I can get that leaf back, because I do love the stamp set so much. But I'm gonna have to just jump in and do this. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm jumping in. And I'll just try and not make it look super duper purposeful. Okay, sort of like that. Maybe I need the darker one. I'm just going to do like a blob. Yeah, maybe I'll give it a little hit of the darker one, just because it is a little darker on the other ones. And just a little blobby business, right? How's that? That's what you call faking it. That's what you call faking it. All right, so right now I have a die cut for this, which is wonderful. It's not that one. All right, let's give that a little washi tape. Oh, I'm seeing double. I'm seeing double. All right. Let's just run that through. Click like a bunny. I have a funny feeling I have these in the wrong order. Yes, I do. Well, I think I managed to fake it pretty good. I don't think you can really super tell that I didn't have the stamp for those other bits. So here we go. There. That looks kind of nice, right? Oh, die cutting's a piece of cake. Just remember you need washi tape, and then that way you can always get things exactly where you need them to be, okay? The washi tape is the kicker. I should start wearing gloves. Like, I should have this stack of gloves here, and every time I get ink all over my hands, whip them off and put on a new pair. Because I sure do get ink everywhere. All right, you see that? How pretty that is? Now, I do want to tuck these in somewhere. So let's just see. Let's just see where I want this to be. Maybe I want it to overlap that ring a little bit. I think I do. So I'm going to get me some dimensionals. And then I'll figure out where to put those purple flowers, because I just think they look so cool. There's also, if you wanted it, an arrow that goes along the side of this. I'll show you in a second. It goes along this side to show you that you're supposed to, it's got a little arrow so you can say, you know, push here or whatever. But I think for the most part, I think people can figure that out. So I don't know that I ever feel the need to put the arrow on. But it's nice to know that it's there if you felt like you needed it. Maybe on a kid's card it would be good. Maybe a child would look at it and not quite sort out that you're able to do that. But, so I kind of like the idea of these leaves ending up over there. I kind of do like that. All right, and then let's just look at these. I'm not 100% sold on them, but they do add a nice bright coloring, don't they? What do you think? I kind of like this. Yeah, I did do an arrow on one of mine, but I just wasn't overly. What do we think of that? Does that look good? I can't tell anymore. I think it kind of does. Although now I'm wishing this was brighter, but I got to stop doing that to myself because I second guess everything I do. So let's do that. Let's put those little guys on in there. I'm going to just use glue. I do like those. I do think they look nice. Cute. Do you like that? It's pretty, right? And then you've got your little deal here, so you can just go along and so you've got 2 flowers and a sentiment, which I think looks quite nice. I really like the sentiment one the best, but hey, that's just me. So what do you think? I rather like it. I probably will do something inside, but I'm not entirely sure right now. Sometimes those things require a little thought for me. And so I'll look at that in a little while and see what I'd like inside. I don't know if there's anything. Let me see. I don't know. Maybe just a little. Maybe just a little. One of those guys in the corner. I'm going to do the. I am going to. So let's find those bits again. It's that little, this little thing here, and the little flowers. I think that will be enough. Just that little bit in the corner, little something. Nothing too fancy, nothing too much. So let's get my evening evergreen. Pop that on a block. And we'll just do that. How would that be? It's my little evening evergreen leaves. And then get some, nope, not Gorgeous Grape. That's too strong. I think we decided that was too much. So where are my other stamps? Here they are. Fresh Freesia. That's a good one. Take that off. Okay. There we go. That's pretty. Just a little something. Nothing too much. Just a little something inside, a little surprise when you open the card. I do love the evening evergreen. I use it all the time, you know. I just find it's a little better than using black. Now you have to keep in mind, my tendency was to use the evening evergreen to stamp out, say, this flower arrangement and then color, but you can't really do that because then it will blend with your blendable inks or blend with your colors. So I have a tendency to go with the black when it comes to making these shapes and then coloring them with my regular inks. But I do like the evening evergreen for like sentiments. It shows up like a black but isn't black. So I'm very fond of that, and I'm also very fond of just the color, the evening evergreen color. I just think it's a great color. So let's see if we want to put something on here, because our paper, our DSP has gold on it. So no, those don't really work. Let's see what I have in gold. I have gold something. Okay, I have little tiny Gilded Gems. I think Gilded Gems would be good, but just the little tiny ones, just the small ones, nothing too big. Everything else is not quite gold. So let's do the Gilded Gems. These are also in the new catalog, I believe. It's all a bit of a blur to me at the moment, so I can't actually remember for absolutely sure what's moved over, but I do believe they have. Yes, there's a red dot on my package. I put red dots on everything that moves over so I won't get confused. So let's have, I don't know, I almost feel like it's too busy to have any. Well, I'm going to put some little ones on and see how they look, okay? Little one here. Another one there. and maybe one right about, no, they do add something. They do add something. So there's today's card. That's Ever Eden DSP, the hand Penned Petals stamp set, all totally available, and the Give It a Whirl die set, which I plan on doing some more playing. I think I feel a cloud card in my future because I have the Cloud Punch. I just got the Cloud Punch, which is a bigger cloud, but I'm absolutely enamored with these cute little clouds that I have here. They're stitched clouds. They're very cool. So I think I see clouds in my next card future. It is Saturday today, so I'm not 100% sure that I will be on tomorrow, being Sunday. We'll have to see what the day brings. But rest assured, if I am going to be on, you'll hear about it in the morning and you'll get the 30-minute warning. Unlike today where I put in the 30-minute warning and then forgot to push the go button. So you didn't get your 30-minute warning today. But tomorrow we'll see what the day brings, and I'm feeling kind of like, not clouds outside. I don't want clouds outside, but I'm feeling like playing with some clouds tomorrow. So let's just see what the day brings, and we'll see what's going on. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.